Welcome back to the Spectre Creative channel, where we're continuing our look at the original memo and storyline from Mattel from 1985 that helped create the Snakemen. So last time we went over the first memo that outlined the need for the Snakemen. This time we are going to read the story created that was going to introduce them into continuity. And I will absolutely be upfront. This story is not completely revolutionary. I mean, the original mini-comic that introduced the Snakeman is basically a slightly modified version of this. And this memo, as noted above, is from Tim Kilpin, who, while notable as the marketing manager of Motu back in '85 and writer of some of the mini-comics, he eventually became general manager of Mattel and is also the person responsible for giving me my job on Matty Collector. So, big fan of Tim Kilpin. And also, as a second reminder, this originally appeared in the display case at San Diego Comic-Con in 2009 in coordination with the art book that we sold. So we had all of the old story guides and some of the art that didn't make it into the book, but we still found and thought was interesting, and we put it in the case. All right, so sit back. It is story time. We are going to read Tim Kilpin's original outline for the Snakeman story. Deep within the heart of Snake Mountain is a darkness, an impenetrable gloom that hangs over its dungeons and catacombs. There are chambers beneath Snake Mountain that have never been explored. No evil warrior has ever found the courage to pierce their horrible blackness. But this dreadful night, there was one who could no longer ignore the challenge. The torchlight cast eerie shadows all about the dungeons of Snake Mountain as Skeletor made his ways through its cold, damp corridors. "Something strange," he whispered. "Something very strong within these walls." Skeletor ran his bony fingers across the rough stones. Kobra Kahn cowered behind his master, trying in vain to seem brave. I don't feel a thing, Skeletor." But Skeletor wasn't even listening, as if there was a living force trapped here, as if something were struggling to be set free. Skeletor's fingers caught in the deep grooves of a stone carving. He stepped back and examined the work. Snakes! A great mass of coiled snakes! Kobra Kahn came forward. "Let me see, perhaps—" Kahn went white. He stumbled backwards if struck by a mighty blow. "What?" Skeletor demanded. "What do they mean?" Kahn could barely speak. "What? Have you lost your senses? What?" Kahn's eyes darted back and forth. "Viper! The Viper King!" "Those are the ruins of Hiss, the Viper King, and his fiendish order." Skeletor's eyes lit up. "The Viper King? I'd only heard tales." "No, Great One," Kahn said, shivering. "Hiss did live, as did his many minions. Many eons ago, he built a serpent empire throughout the world of this universe. He was a cold-blooded reign of terror." Skeletor studied the ruins. "But Hordak had told me of the Viper King. He said it was but a myth, a fairy tale." Kahn breathed deeply. "As well as he should, Master. Hordak was the Viper King's greatest enemy. Hiss and the evil Horde fought constantly over who would dominate Eternia and Etheria." Now Skeletor was totally absorbed. "Then Hordak defeated the Viper King?" "No one has ever known. Hiss and his legion simply vanished. But now," Kahn hissed softly, "now he is returning. I can feel it. It is he who haunts these walls." A thin smile fell across Skeletor's face. "Well then, perhaps it's time we meet our house guest." With a grand flourish, Skeletor drew his arms up and prepared to blast the dungeon walls to smithereens. "No!" Kahn screamed. Skeletor concentrated all his evil energy on one wall, and within seconds it crumbled into a pile of rubble and ashes. A horrible moaning filled the chamber. Kahn retreated quickly. "You've released him! The Viper King is free!" An icy blast tore through the catacombs. Far across the room, a human form took shape. Slowly it materialized into a green warrior. Khan gasped and fell to his knees. "It is the Viper King! Hail the Master of Serpents!" Skeletor whirled around and stared at the warrior. "This is the great Hiss? Surely this must be some mistake. Why, he looks like some crony of He-Man's, and not too strong at that." Silently the warrior stepped forward. A deep, hoarse breathing seized his chest. His body began to writhe, as if in pain. His chest was expanding, his arms exploding, and now his head was peeling away. Finally the creature spoke. "Let the Viper King be revealed!" And there, deep within the heart of Snake Mountain, stood Hiss the Viper King. No longer human, he had become a slithering mass of seething serpents. As the vile creature strode forward, a great flood of snakes poured forth from the darkness behind the ruined wall. Cobras, asps, boa constrictors, all slithering across the floor. Hiss suddenly leaped forward to strike at Skeletor, but Skeletor dodged just in time. He sent a blinding streak of laser blasts at the Viper King. "You slimy cretin, you'll learn never to toy with me!" But Hiss had recoiled for a second strike. "You will pay," the creature screamed. Suddenly more walls broke away as two new creatures crawled forth. One sounded an ominous rattle, then leaped forward, his head lashing out. Another flicked his long tongue at Skeletor. Hiss now had his many snaky arms coiled around the evil master. "Ratlord, tongue lasher, hold your attack. Let me savor this moment." Skeletor struggled mightily, and Hiss's grip loosened. Hiss retreated for a moment. "You are still strong," he said to Skeletor, "but my thirst for revenge gives me even greater might." Skeletor stepped back. "Revenge? Are you mad? Surely you remember your foul trickery, Hordak. Surely—" Skeletor held up his havoc staff before the snake creatures. "Hordak? You think I'm Hordak? I am Skeletor, evil master of all Eternia." "Ha! Only Hordak could have your kind of strength," Hiss sneered. "I was once a student of Hordak's, but now I am a sworn enemy, and you—" Skeletor pointed at Hiss and his cohorts. Then stopped. "You, the Viper King? Hordak is your enemy as well? I will not rest until he is defeated." Then Skeletor said slowly, pondering the idea, "Perhaps there's a way we can cooperate. Yes, you and I, we can join forces." Khan rushed forward from the shadows. "No, Skeletor, you can't." The Viper King turned to Kobra Kahn and hissed softly in warning. "Retreat, lowly creature." And Khan backed away, silently trembling in fear. Skeletor smiled broadly. "I like your style, Serpent. I believe we could make a good team." The many snakes of Hiss's torso writhed slowly. "Yes, a mighty team, an invincible force of evil." Hiss slowly began to regain his human form. His torso was once again coming together. The snakes were disappearing from view. Suddenly a violent tremor shook the mountain. Rocks and debris fell down around the warriors. The catacombs were coming apart. Khan pointed in horror to the walls around them. "Skeletor, look, the mountain is moving!" Thousands of snakes slithered through the cracks. Hiss and his henchmen rejoiced and laughed. Their fortress, their home, Viper Tower, was reforming right beneath their feet. Snake Mountain, or the rest of Eternia for that matter, would never be the same again. The balance of power was shifting once more. Skeletor smiled evilly. First he envisioned Hordak's slave to the Viper King. Then he saw He-Man in his mind. He-Man! Surely the heroic warrior could never repel this kind of horrible strength. And so, on that dark night in Snake Mountain, the clan of the Viper was born. The Snakemen had arrived. And that, He-Warriors and She-Ravers, is the original story of the Snakemen and how they were conceived and conceptualized to be part of the Masters of the Universe world. Now, obviously, this story is very, very similar to the first mini-comic they were in. A few things were changed. There was the addition of the Snake Pit as opposed to them emerging from the walls of Snake Mountain. But you can see how, between the original memo and this original storyline, how it all came together to introduce the latest set of villains to Motu. And again, huge thank you to Tim Kilpin, who not only wrote this, but also provided it to me while working on the art book for San Diego Comic-Con 2009. For those of you who have the art book, you can, I think, see the first page of it, and then the following pages were in the display case. So all of this was first put out in 2009, but I'm glad to at least put it to a recording. And stay tuned, because there's more to come, because we have some other really cool original storylines that we will read out loud here on the Spectre Creative channel, including the original concept behind the Powers of Grayskull mini-comic, what was released as the first of 3, but part 2 and 3 never shipped. And we do have some notes about what part 2 and 3 were going to be, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, please do subscribe and like it. It tells YouTube to share with more people. And sharing is caring. We love giving other people access to toy knowledge. See you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.